All right, well, Water Sound Studios has been my studio since 1994. I've always been kind of infatuated or interested in iPhones, in studio work, and engineering, and mixing, and mastering, and producing, and that. So with Annihilator, I've been able to go into some beautiful studios. Little Mountain Studios in Vancouver, Morin Heights studio in just outside of Montreal, Quebec, and lots of other great studios in the world. And instead of just partying and having fun and recording and going out to the bar or the strip bar like a lot of us did back then, I would find myself staying in the studio and talking to engineers and producers that might be working next door. And I got to secretly sometimes watch sessions by Motley Crue, Aerosmith, Coverdale Page, just all these different really cool projects that Queensryche Operation Mindcrime, Queensryche Empire album in Vancouver Studios, Greenhouse Studios in Burnaby, BC. And I remember watching that one, watching Jeff Tate track his vocals and watching them build a drum room around the drum kit in the middle of a bigger room to get more of a deader sound. And Peter Collins was producing, and Jim Barton was the engineer, and the famous people. I got to work with Max Norman, who did, of course, the amazing Randy Rhoads Ozzy albums, Diary of a Madman, Blizzard of Oz. Worked with him on Set the World on Fire album. What else? Just got to work with some great people, and over the years met Mike Fraser and Randy Staub. Staub worked on the Black Album and Feel Good and Bob Rock's albums that he worked on. And Mike Fraser, of course, AC/DC. I was just actually at Bryan Adams' Warehouse Studios a few days ago in Vancouver, hanging out with Mike. And Mike's, of course, done the last 8 or 9 AC/DC releases. And although, some of these guys I'm friends with, I'm always a fan of what they're doing too. So while I'm talking to Mike Fraser about his family, my family, life, and all this, I'm also eyeing the gear and asking him what he's working on and for tips and tricks and stuff like that. But anyway, I started doing that way back in the early years. It was like a paid schooling I had. I had the opportunity to sit in on these sessions and watch and take notes. And in 1994, I was able to afford to buy a house and turn a 3-car garage into a recording studio and have it professionally built by people that built Little Mountain Studios. And I, along with an engineer called Paul Blake, who taught me half the things I know, and unfortunately for him, he taught me so well I didn't need his services a few years later, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. Water Sound Studios moved from Vancouver, Maple Ridge, BC, in 94 to 2003. It was in Maple Ridge, and in 2003 it moved with me in a big truck to Ottawa, Canada, which is where it's been for the last 8 years. And mainly I record and record Annihilator's records and mix and master there too, my own records, the Annihilator stuff, but also do a fair amount of mixing and now a lot of mastering for bands, because a lot of bands cannot afford to have me or other people mix their records. It is expensive. Does take a lot of time, so it does cost money, and a lot of bands don't have the money to have somebody come in and spend a fair amount of money on a mix. So some bands have opted with me to say, listen, we can't afford your mixing rate, but for a little over $1,000 I'll master their album. That's after the mix is done. I'll take the final mix and make it sound better, which is the mastering process. And bands can afford that and get my name on it, which kind of helps some of the bands in some of the countries. But I'm actually good at it, so that helps too. It helps me sleep at night when I take their money. But yeah, so anyway, if there's bands out there that are into metal and they need their album mastered, come look at Jeff Waters, Water Sound Studios. I'll do a good job for you. And I can sleep at night, and you'll sleep at night, and you may actually get something out of it. You may get people saying, hey, did Jeff Waters actually master your record? Wow, that's cool. I might even sign you to a record deal and make it famous and millions of dollars. And well, it might not actually happen that way. It doesn't usually, but you get the point. Anyway, Water Sound Studios, yeah, it's a studio. It's mine. I love it. Get a hold of me on the internet, on the website, if you want me to work on your stuff. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. I'm just answering the question, okay? Have a good day.